Update on the Civic since 3 weeks ago. Paint's dry, obviously, but color difference is noticeable, but whatever. It needs a wet sand and a buff still. I haven't gotten around to that, but there will be at some point. I personally don't want to do it myself because with the way this went, I don't want to mess it up anymore. I've been noticing in the last few videos I've done, I've been feeling very down and like my voice is very low and I'm like depressed and stuff like that. So I'm trying to change that today. We think that we figured out what's wrong with the Del Sol and why it's not starting, and it should be as simple as the starter itself. We took this out and we tested it yesterday and hooked it up to power and it did nothing. We noticed that when we were taking it off, the mechanism was stuck open and it popped back into place. And when the car's turned off, this is supposed to retract back in, but this was stuck open. So we think that this starter's junk, and if that be the case, then all I need is a starter. And I also need a battery, because the battery that we have in there right now is lended from a friend of mine and we won't be able to use it once this car's done, so I do need a battery anyways. So battery, starter, and check the fuse, and things should be good. Hopefully, that is. So as you guys know, the headlights in this car are painted. The insides of them are painted white and red to resemble eyes. The white portion of the headlight used to be reflective, so when I turn the headlights on, they practically don't show light at all. I have to have the high beams on, and even with the high beams on, it barely shows any light in front of me, so driving at night is really sketchy. That being said, a company called AUXBEAM sent me 2 4-inch square lights, and I do want to mount them, I believe, somewhere here and here. Once the bumper's back on, I'll be able to know where it should go, but I want them to be kind of in the grill of the bumper, and that way they're hidden, but they're still there and they work. So I'm gonna leave the link to the description of AUXBEAM. They make really cool light bars, really cool projectors, really cool 4-inch square lights, stuff like that. I'm gonna unbox these, see what they look like, and yeah. They've worked with my buddies Chris Rudnick and Tyler Fialco, and I was actually filming Rudnick yesterday drifting, and he had these exact lights on the front of his BMW, and they seem to work pretty well, so that's kind of good. I'm hoping that they work well for me as well. Money shot. Try that again. Money shot. Oh, fuck. Alright, so these are the little projectors. These can be mounted wherever you want. I believe they come with brackets, which are what in here. So these will come in handy with being able to see at night, and I'm excited to see what they look like on my car, hooked up, and at night. So this should be fun. I'm not going to install them now because I obviously don't have the car ready to drive, but once it is ready to drive, I will install these. I'll let you guys know how they work, and yeah, should be cool. So right now, Steven went to AutoZone to get parts for this SRT4 that he's working on right now, and then after that, when he gets back, he also ordered a toolbox because the toolbox he's been using for the past 1.5 years or so is full of tools and they're all unorganized, so he'll finally have a toolbox that he can organize all his tools in. I'm waiting here to receive the toolbox because he's out right now, and it should be cool. We won't be struggling to try and find tools now, which was a big issue, and yeah. It's a box. You're a box. So I just banged out like 3 birds with 1 stone right now. Went to AutoZone in need of the injector O-rings, a starter, my heater core hose, and a battery. One heater core hose was in, which was awesome. Injector O-rings was in, which is awesome. Got a battery that they had on display for 50 bucks. Nothing wrong with it, it's just been on display for a while. So they cut the price in half. And then the starter they didn't have, but there's a store 15 minutes down the street that has it, so I'm gonna go get that now. And on top of it, I had 20 bucks on my AutoZone card. So all of this stuff was 50 bucks. Are you kidding me? Whew! Good day so far. Let's hope that this starter works. Heater hose, injector O-rings.
Injector O-rings.
Yes, I am. AutoZone did have the starter. Got the battery, the new one hooked up. New starter is on. We're running a wire straight from the battery to the alternator to make things easier to test. Tried cranking it, not cranking, so we're gonna pull Steven's car in and hook the jumper cables up to the battery and see if that helps. Yes!
No new gas engine or smoke.
Yeah, no, I know that. So we figured out what the issue was. There wasn't enough grounds. So we added, how many grounds are there now? 5? 6?
There's 5 in total.
5 grounds in total. We had it on 4 and it wasn't doing anything and I was starting to get really bummed out. And then he was like, hey, add another ground. So I add another ground and started right up. So, alright, so now that we know that it starts and it runs and it idles and things are going awesome, the distributor's not perfectly aligned and we think the timing is a bit off. We're going to get those things sorted out. Also, when we started it, we had just a wire going straight from the battery to the alternator just as a test, and it worked great. So now we have to finalize it and make sure the wiring that we tucked and put away and everything works as well. So that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to get this wiring sorted out, test to see if it starts, and if it starts, then we're good and we can start throwing the interior back together. What you doing?
Last time.
I'll be pumped if we can get the dashboard in today.
Yeah. I think we can do that. Just gotta start with getting this stuff back here.
Yeah.
Back in this place.
And all that stuff is still in the baggie on the top.
Yep.
So right now we're going to start putting the interior bits back together, and then we're going to get the dashboard hopefully put in and get all the wires going where they're supposed to, and try and read the RPM gauge and stuff like that to see, you know, if it's running properly, and go from there. I'm going to put you guys on this tripod and do a quick time lapse while we put things back together. Alright,
Interior's cleaning up.
interior's cleaning up, ECU is where it should be. That's the fuse box that was in the engine bay, but we have it back in here, so that'll be where the glove box is. So once we put the dashboard in, we'll know where we want to situate that fuse box and get that tightened up. But yeah, this is all in. Put the dashboard in, clean things up in here, put the seats in. Should be set. Look at this, guys. Dash is in, radio works. We just started it up again and everything works. It feels like we're banging out so much stuff in one day, which is awesome. Oh, that's a little off, but hey, on, off, sick.
Let's see what we can do for bleeding the clutch.
Oh, yeah. So the whole interior is back in right now. One thing that we have to do is bleed the clutch. So we have new copper washers for that, and we're gonna get started on that now. Hopefully things go well. It's coming out the top one.
Still?
Yeah. Jared, what's that?
Fuck is what it is.
And you drove on that?
We won't talk about that.
Alright, so just to recap, I'm gonna walk you through everything we did today. So, whole interior is back together. I haven't seen it like this since January. All that's left over is the seats and the center console, but we have a couple other wiring things to do, so we need that to be visible before we put the center console in. And then I also want to vacuum in here and get this shit clean before I put the seats in. We started it and it runs fine, which is dope. We bled the clutch, so now I have a solid clutch. Have to drill 2 holes into the strut tower to mount the clutch fluid. And then after that, it's bolt up the shift linkage, bolt up the exhaust, and get the spindle made from Clint, because he is still making those. His welder broke, but once he makes that, so that I can put it in here, and then I can have this all set up, put the brakes on, and then I can drive it.
And you can drive it.
I also kind of want to get a radiator, because that one's for the automatic and it's got plugs everywhere. So whether or not I get that,
You gonna get that.
I'm gonna get that. Good day. So guys, this was 9 months in the making, but right now the car's running, it's idling okay. All that we gotta do is put the seats in, we gotta get the spindle made so that we can put the wheels on in the front, gotta bolt the exhaust up, gotta bolt the shift linkage up, put the stuff in the trunk like my subs and stuff like that, throw the panels back on the car, and a couple other tiny things like that, like fluids and things, and this thing will be perfect. Jared, I don't like you. Get your Jeep done.
No.
But if you guys enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe. When this thing is done, I'm gonna try and make videos of it. There'll probably be a little bit less because I don't really see much that I'll be doing to this car once it's done. I will be making videos when I'm driving it and things, but yeah, if you did enjoy, leave a like, comment, subscribe. I'm pumped as fuck because this thing's finally fucking running. The entire interior is back together, so this is great. I'll see you guys in the next video.